And congratulations, Mayor Rodas, for the legacy of building your first metro in your city. We've heard how important collaboration and innovation is in growth of a region. Now we're going to switch gears here locally. Saudi Arabia is emerging as one of the world's most important test beds for next generation mobility. The kingdom is positioning itself as a global platform, scaling new mobility innovations. This panel next will take the region's most powerful launch market and see what the next decade could bring with leadership like we have here locally. I'd like to welcome our moderator, Adam Giambrone, the program director at SYSTRA.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. We have a very exciting panel today. It's lots of different expertise here on the panel. As your moderator, my job is here to keep this moving and give all of our speakers an opportunity to give their perspective on an exciting topic of mobility here and how Saudi is leading the way and a leap forward in mobility innovation. I guess I want to start off just by a quick introduction. We have Jan Wohltorf, who's the CEO of Blacklane. We also have Faisal Sultan, who's the president of Lucid Motors. Thank you. We have Rusty Russell, who's the director of mobility for the Red Sea project. Hashim Al-Fatyerji, sorry, I'm skipping over here. I think we might have changed seating, who is the head of the Saudi EV. No, sorry, who is the CEO of Cararak. Sorry about that. This is when I get it wrong on who's sitting where. But it is Hashim Alhareth Alhisan, who is the CEO of the Saudi EV Association, and apologies for that. So what we wanted to do is this topic gives us a lot of opportunity to delve into what is happening here in the kingdom, and so I thought we'd start off with some questions for everyone, and then at the end give everyone an opportunity to give us some thoughts, final thoughts on the subject after we've heard from everyone. So if it's possible, Jens, maybe I could start with you in terms of how Blacklane is taking the concept of localization here in the kingdom, which is really important. We have the Giga projects, we have a lot of this investment, and there's a lot of needs that the kingdom has in terms of the capabilities over the next 3 to 5 years. And maybe you could talk about how Blacklane is contributing to that and the plans going forward for the kingdom.
Sure. Thank you, Adam. Thanks for the invitation. Very happy to be here. Let me start off with introducing Blacklane first. So Blacklane is a good 10 years old, headquartered in Berlin, Germany, and we started back then with the ambition to build the largest global chauffeur service. And now fast forward 2025, we are the largest global chauffeur service, covering all 6 continents, 60 countries by now, over 500 cities. So we've really become the go-to platform for premium transportation, premium mobility, tending even more into the hospitality space, not just the mobility space. And then last year, actually, we decided that this is a key market to be part of, and we want to be part of this amazing growth story and this amazing ambition level that the kingdom has. So we entered very strongly. We brought also a shareholder on board, Tazaro Mobility Investments, a PIF company, in order to back us up here, in order to allow us to really get into the market, not just with funds, but especially with the knowledge and the necessary partnership levels, right? And since then, we have actually grown tremendously, not just by the team, but we grew our revenues here by 8x just within 12 months, because there has been such a gap here in terms of quality mobility, premium transportation, the hospitality part, be it an airport transfer or be it city to city, 3-4 hours in the car from Riyadh to Dammam, for instance. These sorts of services are so much needed here. And in terms of localization, coming back to your initial question, like we have pretty early on, and also thanks to the great leadership in the team here, understood that we cannot just copy-paste what we have maybe done in North America, have done in Europe or in Asia, but really trying to understand what is needed here. Of course, we are not compromising on global quality standards, be it the vehicle, be it a Lucid, for instance, or the chauffeur training, building the chauffeur academies and the respective modules. But you need to really understand how business works here, how relationships are built, how regulation works. And obviously Tazaru and our local partners helped us a lot there, but we really had to understand it's not as transactional as you might see it in other markets, right? So you really build long-term relationships. It's built on trust, on respect. Sales cycles might take longer than elsewhere, but also the horizon is so much longer, right? For decades you are building potential here, and that's what we learned on very early on. And now, thankfully, we are the partner of Lucid in the region. We are a partner of Riyadh Air. We are the partner of Al-Fatyerji, and those are helping us really getting into the game deeper and deeper.
So you've talked about a couple of different strategies or elements that really worked and brought a success. But if you were going to give some advice, taking maybe a highlight of what you've talked about to a new entry to the market, a new company coming into Saudi in the mobility sector, what would be maybe your advice to someone that was going to try to launch their new venture here in the kingdom?
Well, I would say regardless of what industry, the single most important thing is that you completely commit. That you don't think this is a small country at the side, or I can push my US brand or European brand just over that and expect this to work. You really need to be committed to the marketplace, to the audience, to the customer base, to your partners, and show up, right? And really get into understanding what's needed, embracing that. And thanks to Vision 2030, that is such an ambitious, innovative, sustainable vision that all clicks perfectly with also our set of values. So it's a match made in heaven.
Well, maybe transitioning here to Faisal with Lucid, because Lucid has made a lot of those commitments, and with your new manufacturing plant, I guess it's the AMP, it's I think one of the largest here in the kingdom. So picking up on the concept of localization, adapting to a strategy, how has Lucid really taken those values and commitments that Jan's talked about and really put them into action in terms of this new manufacturing facility and your commitment to the kingdom in terms of localization?
Good morning. Thank you, Adam, for having me. It's always a pleasure to be at CoMotion. So I'm just going to pick up because Jan's put it very well together. I think, when Lucid, PIF invested in Lucid back in 2018 as a majority shareholder, there was a complete alignment because you had Vision 2030, you had a strong partner in PIF as our strongest shareholder, and you had a country that has really the will to move very fast from where they are today and where they want to be. And, they are staying, on the roadmap. So, and it's all about sustainability, and it's all about human skill development. So Lucid saw an opportunity. We have, as you said, our advanced manufacturing plant number 2. So we have one in Arizona that we started off, but this one is bigger than the one in Arizona. And we went big because Saudi Arabia's geographical location is just so amazingly located in the center of the earth that it gives us an opportunity to produce cars here and have a very feasible commercial business case to fill the world with electric vehicles that have the Lucid logo on it. So that is our plant. It is 150,000 volume per year capacity. It is going to be one of our largest plant, as I said. It's currently bigger than our Arizona plant. We're going to be starting to produce the mid-size platform, which is a large volume platform for us, end of next year. And we're working with various agencies. As Jans mentioned, you have to really, sign up for this deal, because if you want to be successful, right? We're working with a lot of educational institutions, a lot of scientific institutions like KAUST is our partner, and we have CAX now as our partner. We are working very closely with HRDF. We're taking a lot of young Saudis. We've taken about 3 batches already that go to California, Arizona, get trained, these young Saudis, and come back and become part of our workforce. We're 70%, 72% Saudized. So that is an amazing thing that is really happening at Lucid Middle East. And we're also working on supply chain localization, because that is going to make us more competitive as we have more suppliers in the auto park in King Abdullah Economic City.
But you've taken it one step further, not just in supply chain, but also in the whole research supply chain, if you will, as well. And I don't know if you could, because there's the whole discussion about localization. You build a plant, create a supply chain, but there is that whole other added value and advanced technology and the research happening here in the kingdom. Maybe you could also talk about the plans you've got, because you've got the electric, you're moving towards autonomy. How are the plans working? We're all about mobility and electric mobility here, autonomy. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about Lucid, what the plans are within the kingdom, and how that supports your vision for autonomy.
Thank you. So actually, last night I was super busy with opening our first R&D center in the region. It's at King Abdulaziz City of Science and Technology, great partner, and where we are going to be really working on the mobility concepts, the battery industrialization of better battery technologies now here in the kingdom. Also product vehicle dynamics, localization, weather-related testing. So we are trying to bring all that knowledge base here in the kingdom. And actually it saves us a lot of money, because we don't have to ship these parts back to United States and and then work on those. And then having these centers where you're producing vehicles are always beneficial. When we come to the autonomous side, we just recently announced our deal with Uber and Nuro, where Uber is going to be using their robotaxis. They're going to buy 20,000 Lucid Gravities, which is our 7-seater SUV that just came out in the market. These are going to be fully autonomous, so the passenger is going to sit in the back. Nobody needs to be at the steering wheel. So we are very proud of that. That technology is going to also be transferred into our passenger vehicles, and you're going to start seeing. We are currently on the Lucid Air, we are what we call a 2+ autonomous. On the Gravity, we are 2++ approaching 3. And then, of course, our goal is to get to the L4 very fast with this partnership with Nuro and Uber.
Thank you. Rusty, maybe, again, we're switching gears here from some of the producers and service providers to a region. So Red Sea is this very large region with lots of different geographies, lots of different transportation needs. You're heading up the mobility or planning and implementation. How does Red Sea really look at matching the needs of the different components of your development with the actual supply chain that's here available in the kingdom, and looking forward to be innovative, as we've all been charged with in terms of Vision 2030 and implementing these projects?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to take all of these technologies and combine them and put them in real world operational scenarios. We currently have the largest EV charging network in the kingdom. We have 305 AC chargers that are live and active. We have 75 DC chargers that are live and active. So we're really trying to push that. Now, the one big thing from us is we're doing it with regenerative tourism, right? That's our big theme. So we have 760,000 solar panels that power our destination. So we're trying to take all these advancements and all these technologies and apply them in a real world scenario. From a mobility standpoint, all of our guest fleet and all of our staff fleet are all electric. So we have partners, we have Lucid vehicles, we have Mercedes vehicles that are all EVs for our guests. We have Yutong buses to run all of our staff around site. And so we're trying to use all of these various technologies and put them in real world environments. We're also offering companies the opportunity to do proof of concepts with us. So we've done hydrogen tests. with hydrogen vehicles and hydrogen generators. We've done tests with autonomy and autonomous shuttles. We just signed an announcement and had a partnership with the helicopter company where we're going to start eVTOL stuff. So we're trying to be on the cutting edge technology and continue to look at what's coming forward. And not just settle for, yes, we're all EV and we're all electric buses and we're all, solar power charging network and continue to build on that, but also look at what's coming in the future. Because with the guests and they expect luxury, and we want to make sure that we provide the best luxury that we can.
And you've also got a very multimodal system, or required one, right? You've got islands out there that have to have some boats. I think you've also got seaplanes that take people out. So in some ways, it's almost one of the most multimodal systems perhaps that is invisible, and I guess there's future connections into Saudi Rail and all of those things. So in terms of how you're delivering the operation, so you've got right now, are there any future plans in terms of more, like you talked a little bit about eVTOLs, maybe there's you could share some thoughts if advance in terms of we haven't heard as much about marine mobility in terms of EV. I mean, that's a sort of evolving sector. Some of those areas that we don't always or haven't talked as much about here at the conference that you guys are actually a proving ground and a testing ground here in the kingdom for.
Yeah, we've met with, from a land perspective, obviously we go through everything with that. From an eVTOL perspective, we have that. But we've also met with boat designers. We're looking at hydrogen propulsion. We're looking at electric propulsion. And so we're meeting with all of these different builders, designers, as to how that, there are electric boats out there, but for us, the range is an issue, right? So we're working to help develop that and give them these opportunities. We've tried some of the hydrofoil boats and had testing with those. So we're working in all aspects of mobility, and you're right, we offer the unique opportunity where we combine land, air, and sea, and you can literally experience all of that in one journey. Not to mention the micro-mobility that we offer with our buggies and our EV bikes. And so we're looking at it across the range for the full guest journey and what's the latest and greatest, and giving companies the opportunity to come be a part of what we're doing and showcase their product as well and see if it works. Because the other thing is, from our environment standpoint, right, we're for an electric EV environment, we're probably one of the harshest environments to run an EV vehicle out of consistently on a daily basis because of the salt air, the sand, the humidity. And so it's a great testing ground. And so we're offering that opportunity to say, come test it in our environment. We'll put guests in it. We'll give you guest feedback. We'll give you all the data, charging data, any of that kind of data, and we'll collectively work together to prove your product.
Thank you. So that may be, again, talking about the EV infrastructure, because sort of moves us very well to our next sort of speaker, Alhareth. You're heading up the EV Association for Saudi, and in the country this large, I think 2.5 million plus square kilometers, some of the challenges that Rusty was just talking about, some in the coastal areas that have sea. So as a relatively new player coming into to help make this whole transition, to help Lucid be able to have infrastructure for charging, Red Sea, all of the different areas in this kingdom, what are sort of your observations coming into this as the association and the goals and objectives to really make electric propulsion work across Saudi Arabia?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I'll pronounce my name correctly because it's very difficult. My name is Alhareth Al-Hisan. And for me to explain what is the Saudi EV Association, I would have to go 2 steps back, explaining why we created it. So basically, we have been working, I personally have been working in a company that builds the infrastructure for electric vehicles in Saudi Arabia for 3 years now. And during these 3 years, we have faced so many challenges that are not related to our main area of task or jobs, because our main task is to have a piece of land, bring a supplier that supplies the electric vehicle charger, and a contractor to build the site and for us to operate it. However, we faced issues with the legislations, with some of the regulations, and we faced some issues with the demand, because when we have a site, there is no demand for it, and it becomes very difficult for us to predict where the demand is. And therefore, the investors become more hesitant to invest with you, and they become more scared, because it's very well explained from their point of view, because it's very risky and the numbers doesn't add up as it should be. So we went to mature markets, Europe, US, China, South Korea, etc. And what we found there is that they had the same issues early on, and the government had to intervene and put subsidies for building the infrastructure or for selling the electric vehicles, whether it is for individuals or for commercial uses. And we spoke with the Norwegian EV Association, and they gave us a very good eyesight, and they gave us also a lot of support. And we came here to the Ministry of Energy, and we proposed the idea for them, and they were very, very happy, and they adopted the Saudi EV Association, and the Saudi EV Association was created. So the main objective for the Saudi Electric Vehicle Association is one objective, which is to build, sustain, and grow the e-mobility sector in Saudi Arabia in the best form possible. And for us to do that, we have to link ourselves with three entities, if we are going to simplify it. The private sector, which is the companies in the sector, the stakeholders, whether they are such as Lucid, the manufacturer for electric vehicles, whether they are the dealers who import electric vehicles, or whether they are the clients, such as the Red Sea Global, where they are going to be using these EV chargers and these vehicles. Or also if it's going to be such as Blacklane or DHL or any of these logistics company. And the second entity is the government, and the third entity is the individuals, the end users, the people who are going to buy these electric vehicles. So when we listen to each of these three people, we get each feedback and we form it into a package and we give it to the government so that they can build upon these data when they are making a decision or when they are going to put a new regulation or a new legislation. So that's basically in a nutshell why it's created and the main objective for it. If I'm going to speak about what is the electric mobility sector doing as of right now here in Saudi and how it is, I would first compare it to the neighboring countries. And if we see countries such as the UAE and Qatar, you would see that they spread a very robust network for the infrastructure for electric vehicles very quickly and very wide. The main reason that enabled them to do that is the geography. Their countries is very small. Here in Saudi, we cannot do the same thing because of the vast space and the extensive distance between each region. So it was a bit difficult for Saudi to implement the same thing that was implemented in the UAE and Qatar. If you go to Egypt, Egypt is also a vast country, and with Egypt, it's more of a complete private sector initiative. And the thing that helped them to build this infrastructure, although it's not very widespread and it's not as robust, is the demand. The demand in Egypt is very high because the cost of petrol in Egypt is very high, and the incentives that was in Egypt for importing electric vehicles was very, very good for the end users. And so the demand was very high, and the private sector could start on its own to build this infrastructure. And this is how it was built in Egypt and in a smaller scale in Jordan and also in Tunisia and other countries. Here in Saudi, the build-up for the infrastructure is being done. It's a bit slow because it's facing some of challenges. However, within a few years, if we follow the right steps, it would be one of the best infrastructure for the basic reason that we have all the requirements for a market to be robust. In Saudi Arabia, we have the electric grid connected everywhere and it's available. We have the consumer being able to buy with very high prices. And at the end, we have a very robust system from the Ministry of Transport and from the Authority of Transport to support this sector.
Well, maybe just to have you sort of just continue that. So as a perspective as someone who might be a user in a few years, buying an electric car in the kingdom, might be a producer who wants to sell to somebody like myself who would be a user, what might we expect by the end, closer to 2030, like our objective for a lot of these things? What might we expect as a sort of a user or here in the kingdom, moving around the kingdom, not just in the cities, but if we are taking a trip to like Dammam or on a nearby, maybe a drivable trip that would be logical here in the kingdom, what would we experience in the EV solution?
So as of right now, this question depends on two things, the range of the electric vehicle and the infrastructure provided on these routes. And for the range of the electric vehicles, if we take the Lucid, for example, the lowest model can easily have a range of 550 kilometers to 600. And so that enables you basically to travel from Riyadh to Dammam without any issues. It enables you to travel from Riyadh to Qasim without any issues. But if you were to travel from Riyadh to Jeddah, for example, no, you would need the infrastructure to be there. For the infrastructure itself, now you can travel from here to Dammam. There is several stations from our company iCharge and from Sasco. If you want to travel from Riyadh to Qasim, also you have Sasco and our company and also EVIQ. If you want to travel from Riyadh to Mecca, you are going to be able to if you have the extended range vehicles. However, for the normal vehicle, it's not possible because the infrastructure for electric vehicle is not there yet because of some challenges that they are facing. If we take it from the consumer point of view and ask the question, is there going to be any incentives for the end user to buy the electric vehicles or any incentives for the private sector to build the infrastructure for electric vehicles in Saudi Arabia? Nothing is clear until now, but from the point of what I have seen until now is that we are going to adopt a model very similar to what happened in Brazil and to what happened in Thailand, where the market evolved within itself, being the demand created for the electric vehicles to be bought with very reasonable prices from various manufacturers, most of them are Chinese, and then the infrastructure will be a compelling business model and private sector will start to build it.
So, Hashim, we've got, so it's...
We got 2 minutes.
No, we have enough time. We'll want to give you enough time because I think your position in this is interesting because your company, Cararak, is sort of acting as a bridge, right, in terms of taking companies who want to come in here to the Saudi market, but perhaps don't have all the information, all the experience. And so you're sort of acting as that in-between, helping people adapt or helping companies adapt to the market. So maybe you could, we have some examples here on stage and obviously over the last couple of days, but maybe you could talk to us a little bit about how that experience has worked within the context of mobility and supporting the kingdom's role or goals and objectives that we've heard about today and over the last couple of days.
Absolutely. So I have been doing working in mobility and technology sectors for a little over 25 years. Mainly now, today, I'm helping companies doing exactly this, which is using applied technologies globally to solve their mobility challenges. And I literally focus on areas like EVs, infrastructure, and digital platforms to serve the industry. What we are seeing two parts. One, the local market and challenges to adapt new technologies. And also we have huge interest over the past 2 years globally from global companies who want to come and operate in Saudi Arabia, but mainly don't know the culture, they don't know the operation, how to go about it. What we found is that there is a handful of companies, and mainly those are the Giga projects and Aramco, who created a system where they test and pilot different technologies and see how it fixes or it solves challenges that they have. We have many successful projects, including Ritzi, where Rusty just mentioned, but the opportunity is huge. Corporates naturally focus on procurement, and that usually gets you only the biggest and safest bets, but everything can be solved by technologies, and technologies are available. An example, the other day, I was talking with the head of digital and one of the largest manufacturers, tires manufacturers, and they said, we want a solution that have predictive maintenance, so it solves their maintenance issues. The only solution that we have, they were talking, is that we go to a consulting company that builds a system for us. I said, no. There is a company that I know in Canada that can pilot tomorrow. And fair enough, this week they are piloting. It works perfect. They can commercialize it and do it for a long term. If it doesn't work, it's a learning point. It's a very cheap way to do this. And I guarantee you, most of the challenges that companies in Saudi Arabia currently have, there is solutions for them if they create a system where they can pilot those technologies and then adapt it with them. Usually companies in Saudi Arabia invest and buy into these technologies, which usually does not get into a learning process within the company. So they have to create the system. And from the side of the international companies and startup and technology companies who want to come to Saudi, of course, now everybody knows they have to play the long game, but also they need to work with us, not for us, meaning that there is a big mandate, a mandate that have never been done before across so many different sectors, and they need to come and think with us how to adapt their latest technologies to make it work with this mandate. And I'm sure with building the relationship and building the trust that requires some time, they can flourish in the Saudi market and grow, have growth, very good success stories doing it.
So maybe then just one of the issues that sometimes comes up, and you've talked a lot about these pilot projects, is taking, so there's a good idea, new technology, there's a new landscape, you've got a pilot. How have you found helping companies sort of transition from just the pilot stage to maybe full implementation or a larger growth? Because the pilot is important. It, as you pointed out, it tests the market, it allows you to learn something, but then taking that next step, if it's successful. If it's not successful, then you don't. But if it is successful, what's in the context of the kingdom?
So historically, what most corporates, and I'm sure most people in the audience have faced this before, is that they see new technology, they like it, but how do I implement it in the company? What the right way to go is from the start, they analyze and identify where are the challenges and opportunities, or maybe the one or two cases that they want to focus on. Based on that, those are actual immediate needs that they need to fix. So it means that this would have immediate internal commitment from the stakeholders within the company. So this way we can scout and find the latest and best technologies to solve those issues and pilot based on that. This would increase the likelihood of success because there is an actual need. If you just find a good, nice technology and somebody pitch it nice to you and you ask your team to implement it, there is no actual buy-in, right? Because it's nice to have. But if it's needed, then they would work hand in hand because they need to solve the problem that would affect their own operation. And BMW, for example, now they pilot, if I'm not mistaken, tens of different projects every year with new technologies because they created the department just for for this. It's called venture clienting. So just for this, they create. So they introduce and adopt so many different technologies every year. Out of all the nice and good technologies. But first they identify what they are looking for, and then they attract all of the technologies. And everybody would love to come and serve you if you need them.
So one of the advantages to having a lot of expertise on the stage is that we've got a lot of expertise and a lot of varied opinion. One of the problems, of course, is that we have only so much time. I think we're coming to the end, but I thought we've heard, again, different associations, consultants helping, regions, companies. So maybe if I could just ask, as we wrap up here today, some final thoughts. I mean, from maybe hearing from some colleagues on the stage, something that's connected with something we've heard at one of the other sessions. And maybe just for simplicity, I'm going to start back, Jans, with you. Just some final thoughts as we close out today's session.
Sure, thank you. So an immediate reaction is, I need to touch base with you, Rusty. Just heard you need sustainable luxury transportation in Red Sea, so that seems to be very logical. Business development aside, I think, so we believe we haven't even started yet, right? We are just getting ready, and we have two main directions. So demand is obvious, right? Like this kingdom, the country has such a potential. So on the demand side, we feel very solid. The supply side is the challenge, right? And we have heard so many interesting comments on stage today. On the vehicle side, we will keep on pushing electrification. We are already now, as we speak, at 30%. Right volume being delivered in electric, thanks to the partnerships like with Lucid or Mercedes-Benz, EVIC. So we will push stronger there to get to 100%. The biggest challenge will be the chauffeur side, right? And this is something where we will significantly invest and double down on building chauffeur academies around creating thousands of high quality jobs, and this will be a fundamental focus for us going forward.
Thank you. Sultan, maybe you could pick up.
Yeah, I think, look, EV mobility is the future in the country and in the region. It's very obvious the policies are really, driving that. The Saudi Green Initiative, which is targeting 30% of electric vehicle new car sales to be electric by 2030. That's 240,000 cars a year that is going to enter the market by 2030. And as mentioned by some of my colleagues here, I think supporting policies are going to be needed, and I think there are a few things that are going to be popping up in the next year or so for consumer side and for charging side, and I think that is going to really help spur the demand in the kingdom and make it a little bit more affordable to own. It's really, one of the interesting things that a lot of people don't realize, because there's a perception that the gasoline is very subsidized here in the kingdom, but electric cities is even more subsidized. So for an average customer on a Lucid Air, as we were mentioning, we have the longest range electric vehicle in the world with 838 kilometers of range on it in a single charge. To charge that at the lowest tariff rate at your home, it charges you for 40 reals for those 800 kilometers. In an internal combustion engine, I can guarantee you, even with the prices in Saudi subsidized, it's going to be 300 reals. So there is really no comparison when it comes to the cost of ownership. So Lucid is a luxury car producer, but we are going to have more affordable products pretty soon. And then the consumers will realize how much savings they can have in the total cost of ownership by having electric vehicles.
Thank you. Rusty?
I think for us, it's exciting. That's kind of the theme from a mobility perspective. We currently have 9 hotels that are open and operational. We run 150 electric cars every day. We run 105 electric buses every day. But the growth is the exciting part. We have 8 more hotels in the Red Sea that are going to open early next year. We have 9 more hotel properties that are going to open in Amala. Our fleet is going to double in size. And so it's that growth and that opportunity to continue to work with the partners and actually implement these things and trial these things. It's an exciting time, and we're excited about how we're growing and how the market and the EV market is going to grow with us.
Thank you. All right, maybe bring up thoughts.
I could say that. I could say, hands on heart, that Saudi could be and should be one of the best countries around the world that implements e-mobility, for the basic reason that it has all the resources. And our task at the Saudi EV Association is to help and support the private sector to invest as much as possible and to be first movers in the market, and to also support the end users and the individual and commercial people who's going to purchase these electric vehicles, and get the government to support this sector in the best form possible, so that we can guarantee that Saudi Arabia is going to be one of the best examples, at least regionally, if not globally, when it comes to e-mobility. And may God help us achieve that aim.
Sure. And last but certainly not least, Hashim, your final thoughts.
So my thought is, if anything is out of, if somebody catch anything of what I said, is piloting is key. If we talk with different ministry executives, we talked with different corporates in Saudi Arabia, everybody is pressured and is under mandate to perform because of the country's targets for 2030. And the key word is piloting. International companies who want to come and operate in Saudi Arabia, they need to find companies with needs and government agencies with needs and play the long game with piloting with them. This builds good relationship. This makes the organization understand your product and your service and the value of it to achieve their targets. And I think there is a massive opportunity across the board for international companies to come and work with us to achieve 2030 vision.
Well, I want to end, the time has gone very quickly, as it seems to always do, and sorry we haven't had a chance to go in a little bit more detail, but I think we've covered a large area of topics here, and I hope it's been helpful for the audience, and I just want to end by thanking each of you very much for your contributions, for your thoughts, and I think we've all come away knowing and understanding a little bit better about the subject. So thank you very much, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Adam and our panelists for that interesting discussion. I will ask